Good morning. Our lesson for today is accounting for labor. Labor, as we have learned, is part of the prime cost or a primary cost of production system. Without labor, we cannot convert raw materials into finished goods. Now, labor can be classified into direct labor and indirect labor. Direct labor is a payroll cost that are paid to workers who are directly engaged in the conversion process of raw materials into finished goods. And that is wages of laborers who are actually involved in the conversion process. While indirect labor is any payroll costs that are paid to workers that supports the production process and which are not directly involved in the conversion of raw materials into finished products. Examples of which are salaries of supervisors, storekeepers, maintenance laborers, factory janitors, and factory security guard. Now, direct labor is charged to work in process account since it becomes part of the production process, while indirect labor is charged to factory overhead control account. Now we have here departments responsible for labor costs. Personnel department is responsible for recruitment, planning, and firing of labor force. They are the one who provides trainings and seminars and place people to the job for which they are suited. And they are also responsible for carrying out the labor policies laid down by the top management. Engineering and Work Study Department, they are responsible for maintaining control over working conditions and production techniques or plan and specification for each job, process, and operations. It includes preparations of plan for each job and process, maintaining efficient working condition, conducting time and motion study, merit rating, setting time wage system, and conducting research work. Timekeeping department. They are responsible for the accumulation of total hours worked or spent by each worker on a job, in a product, or in a particular process. Payroll department, they are responsible for the computations of the total gross earnings, including the amount of payroll deductions such as withholding taxes and other contributions for each workers and prepare payroll or wages of all workers and maintaining the payroll records. The cost accounting department is responsible for collecting, classifying, and assigning all costs to jobs, product, and processes. Now we have different types of wage payment on how are we going to pay or base our payment our to how are we going to base our payment to our laborers or workers. We have time-based wage plan in which wages are determined on the basis of time work spent by workers irrespective of the quality of work done. By the way, wage and salaries are different in a sense that wages are paid for workers on a particular base, such as time or piece or other bases, while salaries are paid to workers, regardless of time or piece or whatever base they use. They are receiving a fixed amount, unlike uh, wage plans or wage earners. They have to comply with the basis of uh, their wages, such as time or piece. So piece-based wage plans are wages are determined on the basis of output produced by the workers without considering the time spent in performing a job. Modified base wage plan is a combination of time wage and piece wage plan. So in the modified base wage plan, the worker is given a wages for a particular uh, quota on a specified time. If the worker were able to finish the quota within the particular time and still was able to produce more, he will receive additional payment for the excess of the quota. So he will be receiving the wages for the time and the excess of the quota on a per unit basis. Bonus or incentive scheme. This is an incentive offered to employees in which they can earn extra money by abiding to various requirements. So this is to motivate employees to perform better and incentivize them of their efforts to exceed their performance. Now, bonus or incentive schemes are either individual or by group. So if it is individual, the bonus is given only to a certain laborer who performs or outperforms the other, or were able to abide with the various requirements. For group incentive, if the team were able to exceed or meet a certain criteria or requirement, they will be receiving bonus for the group, and they will be the one to decide how are they going to divide the bonus among themselves. Okay, so let's now go to payroll accounting system. So these are the steps on payroll accounting. First, you have to record the number of hours worked by the employees, or if it is a piece-based system, record the number of units produced by each employee in total, by job, or by operation, or by process. And then you make an analysis of the hours worked by workers to determine how labor time is charged. And then charge the payroll time to jobs. And this is the step where you will uh, include the labor cost to job or operation to or processes, and of course the recognition of factory overhead. And then we have to prepare now the payroll. Okay, in preparing a payroll, the first step, as we have mentioned, after counting all the numbers of time spent or units produced, we have to compute now the gross pay. And normally, the gross pay uh, is the total of multiplying or the product of multiplying the per hour rate to the total hours spent, or piece rate times the total units produced. So and normally uh, the basis for wage rate or wage payment for the workers are time. So in our example here or in our guide, we will assume that the laborers are paid on a time-based plan. So the first 8 hours here in the Philippines, any worker is required to render at least 40 hours of working time within a week. So if it is uh, a Monday to Friday operation, that is 5 days, the employee is required to render at least 8 hours from Monday to Friday to comply with the requirements of 40 hours. So the first 8 hours, he will be receiving 100% of the wage rate. Meaning if he is paid for 50 pesos per hour, he will receive the whole 50 pesos times the 8 hours times the 5 days. Now, if he renders more than 8 hours, he will be receiving 125% of the basic pay or the base rate, provided that that excess hours is rendered on a regular days. Okay, so if you render say 12 hours in a particular day, the first 8 hours will be paid at 100% of your base rate. The additional 4 hours will be paid uh, on a premium of 125% of your base rate. Now, here in the Philippines, we also have a night shift differential pay. And the night shift differential pay is applicable only from 10 o'clock in the evening up to 6 o'clock in the morning. So if you render your first 8 hours within that time period from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., you will be receiving 100% of your base rate plus a premium of 10%. Again, that is your first 8 hours. However, if you rendered 12 hours, that is an excess of 4 hours, your first 8 hours, if it is within the differential pay, you will be receiving 110%. The excess 8 hours, if it is within the night shift differential period, you will be receiving 137.5 or additional 10% of the basic pay with overtime. So, say you started at 6 o'clock in the evening, 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and that is your first 8 hours. So 6 to 7, 8, 6 to 10, that is 4 hours. Uh, you will be receiving the basic pay, and that is 100% of your regular pay. From 10 p.m. up to the next 4 hours, you will be receiving 110% of your basic pay. Now, since you work 12 hours, the additional 4 hours uh, will be paid to you at 137.5%. That is for regular days. Now, if it is a special holiday and it is your rest day and still you come to work, you will be paid 130%. Again, this is or special holiday or rest day. You will be paid for the first 8 hours of 130%. Any excess of 8 hours is 169% or additional 30% of your special holiday rate or your rest day rate. Now, if it is within the night shift differential period, additional 10% or 143%, and any excess is 185.9%. Now, in cases the special holiday falls on your rest day and you still go to work, meaning it is a special holiday and it is your rest day and yet you go to work, you will be receiving 150% of your basic pay. Any excess is 195%. If it is within the night shift differential pay, additional 10% of your special holiday plus rest day. And if it is more than 8 hours, 214.5%. Now, if it is a regular holiday, what's the difference between special holiday and a regular holiday? Okay, special holiday are holiday on a specific geographical area, such as, or for example, in Bulacan, we have Bulacan Day, but it is only celebrated here in Bulacan, not on the national or in the entire Philippines. So as a regular holiday is celebrated in the entire country. Okay, so if you work or if you go to work on a regular holiday, you will receive twice of your basic pay. That's double pay or 200%. Any excess of 8 hours, you will be receiving 260% of your regular holiday rate. So if it is within the non-shift differential, 220%, and any excess is 286%. Now, if it is a regular holiday and it is your rest day and you still go to work, you will be receiving 260%. Any excess is 338. If it is within night differential, 286 for the first 8 hours and 371 for the excess of 8 hours. Now, sometimes we have double regular holiday, meaning it is celebrated for the entire country and it was on the same date. Like, for example, Holy Thursday and uh, Araw ng Kagitingan or Good Friday and Araw ng Kagitingan. So if it is a double regular holiday, you will be paid 300% of your basic pay. Any excess is 390. If it is within the night shift differential, 330%, and any excess is 429%. Now, if it is a double regular holiday and it falls on your rest day and you still go to work, you will be receiving 390% of your of your your basic regular pay. Uh, if you work in excess of 8 hours, that's additional 30% of your double regular holiday plus your rest day, which is equivalent to 507%. If it is within the night shift differential period, the first 8 hours is 429 and any excess is 557.7%. So let's have an example here. Say a worker is paid 400 pesos per day or 50 pesos per hour. That's 400 pesos divided by 8 hours. That's 50 pesos per hour. So if it is a regular day, his first 8 hours, of course, he will receive 50 pesos per hour. Any excess is 62.50. That's 125% of 50 pesos. If it is within the night shift differential, that's additional 10%, so 55. Any excess is 68.75. Okay, so you just apply the rate on the previous slide on the following examples. Next, accounting for overtime premium. So how are we going to account for the overtime premium? Because the normal working hours is only 8 hours. So any excess will be considered as an overtime premium. It could either be charged to a specific job or charged to factory overhead control. So when are we going to charge it to a specific job? If the workers are called to work for rush order upon a specific request of a customer with the knowledge that overtime is required to finish the job, then the overtime premium is charged to work in process account. However, if the job is a regular order which cannot be completed in the regular working hours, the overtime premium is charged to overhead control account. Okay, so what are the deductions from our gross pay? We have to deduct these mandatory deductions, social security system premiums or contributions, PhilHealth contributions, pag-ibig contribution, and withholding tax. Uh, all of these four are required by law to be deducted, but there are also other deductions uh, in the payroll account on the payroll that you may deduct, such as uh, contributions to unions or uh, lates or advances. You may also deduct this to the gross pay. However, these four are mandatory. SSS are required by law to be paid, and the purpose of which is for uh, the protection of our employees in cases of disability, sickness, retirement, and also death. PhilHealth contribution is an insurance for a health insurance for our employees so that whenever they will be hospitalized, they can use this PhilHealth contribution to pay for their hospitalization expenses. Pag-ibig contribution are uh, contributions of employees for uh, housing purposes. In cases that the employee would like to avail of house or lots or both house and lot, they could apply for loans from this agency, Pag-ibig. So it's like a savings account, and but for the purpose of buying uh, housing for the employees. Withholding taxes or simply taxes are the contribution of employees to the government out of his earnings. As we have learned or understand, we cannot escape two things in life: taxes and debt. So, as long as we earn something, we have to pay for our taxes. So, withholding taxes is the contribution of the employee to the government. Now, we also have employer's contribution. So, if the employee contributes to the SSS, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig, and taxes, Employer also contributes uh, to the three uh, agencies of the government, except taxes: SSS, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig. Now, the employer contribution related to factory worker are charged to factory overhead control account, while employer contribution relating to other employees, for those who are working in the administration or sales or marketing, they are charged to expense. Okay, so let's go to the journal entries related to labor. For recording of payroll, just debit payroll uh, with the gross amount, credit all contributions and the withholding tax, and then accrued payroll for the net pay. And then for the distribution of payroll to different jobs, process, or operation, for uh, payroll related to production, debit work in process, debit factory overhead control for indirect labor, and then debit admin and selling expense for administration and for those who are in sales, and then credit payroll. For the employer's contribution, uh, the employers share to the salaries or to the wages of uh, our factory laborers, debit to factory overhead control, and then for the employer's contribution to the salaries for the administration and sales or marketing, debit to admin and selling expense, and then credit SSS contribution payable, PhilHealth contribution payable, and Pag-ibig contribution payable. Okay, that's it. That's our lesson for the direct labor, accounting for direct labor.